Okay, hello. Here we go. So, not a lot to show you. Very simple, actually. Haven't made a lot of progress. But a lot of the progress that's been made is all happening behind the scenes, and we don't have any enemies to actually test anything on yet. And you'll notice everything's loading a bit slower than usual. And I'll tell you why. Because I tried just running it normally. But it's totally broken. I can show you if you like. But basically, we'll equip the sword, and we will click, hey hey, and we see hello, and we see the sword slashing. So that's very simple, right? That could have only taken me, what, 5-10 minutes to do? But what we did was follow the tutorial, and the tutorial involved writing up all of this right here, which uses the ability system component. And as you can see, we're running it through the debugging process of here. So we actually open this, and then we open this from here. Like we click play over there, and then it opens the project up that way. So probably because I haven't finished the video, like I haven't made it all the way to the end of the tutorial, he hasn't sort of tied up all those loose ends yet, because there is still maybe like 10-15 minutes left on the video. So I probably need to finish doing that. But let me show you some of those blueprints. So our player character is now actually a new C++ class, which inherits from actor. So the player is still an actor blueprint, but it's now a retro FPS actor blueprint rather than just a actor blueprint. And what else? Yeah, so we have the retro ability, and then just like the generic every ability is like this, and then this one inherits from here. And so we had to make a whole bunch of stuff which all happens behind the scenes, and that controls, like, this is for firing the line, and it's going to collide with enemies, and it's going to have an effect on enemies. So quite a lot of the work's been done, but because we don't actually have any enemies to show you, all we can really see is this, which works, which is lovely, because that means that we are firing all that logic, like all that stuff is happening. You know, we are firing a ray out, and if it collides with an enemy that has an ability, or has an attribute rather, then this ability will reduce that attribute. So me and the enemies will both have health, and when I'm clicking, it's going to know that it's me clicking, and it's going to send a message over to this actor who just got hit, and it's going to tell him, hey, remove some of your health. In the same way that when the enemy hits me, it's going to send a ray out, and if I get hit by that ray, then I'm going to lose health. So a lot of it's actually been done. It's just there's nothing in terms of actual gameplay for me to show you. All I can really show you is that we can now do the light attack. So I need to really think about and plan for how the other abilities are going to work, how the weapon in general will work, because I kind of want to have the light attack, and I want to have the heavy attack, and I want to have the right clip to use the shield, but that's if the shield is equipped. So it's going to complexify quite a bit. And also, I can do this, so I can put the sword away, and I can still hit the enemies. And then the sword looks like we're holding the sword, but actually, now we're holding the sword. So it's a little bit strange in that way, but that's just because I just followed the tutorial to get everything working, and I haven't molded it to be precisely for my game. But I like this ability system. I think that there's a lot of potential in it to do different things, because I can use it for all the spells as well. And I want the spells to have interesting effects besides just remove his health, because the sword's going to remove his health, the bow is going to remove his health. So what's the spell's going to do? I still haven't set that out yet. Let's see if we can jump through it. Okay, that's cool. But as I was saying, with spells, it would be great to have an ice spell which freezes enemies so that you can then smash the enemies. That's a little bit Duke Nukem. But it would be great to have like a fire spell, and then the fire spell can be on the enemy, like you can like be burning. So that's just two examples. I need to plan and think a little bit more about what other spells we're going to have. But you know, it's all kind of in determining the scale, like how many hours of gameplay is this going to be, because this is supposed to really just be a minimum viable product, MVP. It's not supposed to be the complete game, but it's kind of a taste of what the complete game might feel like. Like, in the entire game, there's an entire world, various continents and islands, many places to explore, things to do. And so that's a big game with a lot of scale, and it's got to have a lot more stuff going on. Like, we need to have a good inventory system. A lot of the underlying code will have to be reworked for that final product. But for this minimum viable product that we're developing now, we can kind of just really focus on what it is we want the player to be experiencing moment to moment. What kind of flow and feel will the game have? And obviously you're going to have to update and make all the art look really nice for that. But as we know, the first step is to get all of these underlying systems to work. So right now we are engaged in getting the weapons and spells working. And our very first weapon, the sword, does in fact basically work. But I can't properly test its functionality until I also make some kind of an enemy to test it on, because, you know, these things aren't just things in isolation. Like the player's running, you know, we can always test that by itself because it's just the player. Same with the world generation, that's not going to change. But things about the world generation will change when we include enemies. You know, we have to, as we add on things, everything will kind of adjust to the new things that get added. So that's what I'm trying to do, very slowly, one by one. We add more things and we make sure that those things are wrapped up nicely. So I've just added very basically the functionality for firing. I need to add some sort of an enemy so that I can test that firing and make sure that it's working comfortably, and I need to tie up that firing so that that sword saves properly in its different states. And as you saw when we were, I don't know why I'm just running around with the ocean. But as you saw, so right now we click, nothing happens, that's great. We have to equip the sword, and now nothing happens, or it is happening, we just can't see it. And now we can see it. And now we cannot see it anymore, but we can actually see it. So get a bit of consistency around that, and ideally have it so that when the weapon is out and we save and load, the weapon is still out. It's not going to be... So now the weapon is out. Getting all that stuff, saving and loading consistently, getting this weapon, testing it on enemies to make sure that it works. But like all the functionality for that stuff, which is here. Event fire weapon. You know, we're performing the sword light attack. We are actually doing all that stuff. That's what the hello message was. Let me see if I can find that one for you. Sword light attack. So when we fire the sword light attack event, we say hello, and we set the weapons thing to attack, and we play that from the start with a little delay, and then we end up on the idle. Which is kind of why it resets, because up here this is controlling, all this stuff is really just controlling flipbooks and things. But the fact that we're able to fire sword light attack is important, because that's when we get the line trace and we cast to the player to apply the effect. And the player is the attacking actor, and the effect is going to be applied to the target actor. And the target actor is derived here when we get the line trace. You know, like when we hit an actor, we're going to return that actor. So what am I thinking? Yeah, something like that. It's a little complicated right now. It's not very exciting, not a lot to show you. But what I can tell you is that it's all running out of here right now, which is slightly concerning. So we're back now, and I'm going to show you what happens when I load it up without running it through the Visual Studio compiler, because I haven't finished the tutorial. I don't know where he's going with it, what his plan is, but I hope we're not going to be stuck like that, because now when we load the game, seems to be fine, but oh, can't look around, can't do anything. And that's because in the output log here, we're failing to load a whole bunch of resources that are associated with the FPS player. So it's interesting. Yeah, so originally it fails to load the ability system that's on the FPS player, and then everything else is, yeah, just not loading. So I don't know why that is, but I'm happy to say that at least we can reproduce the results. We just have to load it up through the Visual Studio to do so. So yeah, that's all I really wanted to show you guys. See ya.